This is a red letter day.
Hello everyone, this is LoiTheMushroom connecting, and if you've heard already, or you haven't, Marc Laidlaw, basically the guy responsible for anything Half-Life, the story, and all that stuff, he recently released something called Epistle 3, which basically had characters' names changed, companies' name changed, and all. But there is a corrected version that I've read, and this is just wow. I am such a big fan of Half-Life, and I honestly had recently just lost all hope that there would be anything Half-Life, and then here it is. I honestly don't know what to say. I mean, I could barely hold my breath when I found it. That's how big of a fan of this I am. This is my favorite game series of all time, and something's finally happened to it. But I don't want to just sit here today saying what everybody else has already said. Surprisingly, I mean, not surprisingly, because this is a big topic. This is a topic people have died for. Okay, people have died for being able to see this stuff. I'm just lucky that I'm one of those people that survived for it. But what I would like to do is I would like to compare my canon to Marc Laidlaw's canon, and just to see what you guys think. I'm not saying in any way that my canon is better than Marc Laidlaw's, or that I'm not saying this is the right canon. Marc Laidlaw's canon is actually not official. It might not be an actual game, but I mean, we shall see. And I'm really excited. I want to see what Valve's response to this is. I don't know if they'll release one or what they'll do. But we're going to go ahead and start off with the beginning of after the ending of episode 2. If you have not played Half-Life, I beg of you, please stop watching this video and play it. Do not watch this video until you have played Half-Life 2 episode 2. You will not regret it. That out of the way, spoilers, obviously. So after Eli dies at the end of episode 2, of course everyone needs time to mourn. Kleiner, Alex, of course, definitely, of course. Magnuson needs time to mourn as well, of course. Everyone's going to mourn Eli's death, but eventually they get over it and they actually take Gordon and Alex, take the helicopter to go find the Borealis. Now, the difference between my canon and Marc Laidlaw's is Gordon Freeman and Alex would go alone. In Marc Laidlaw's canon, they have a whole rebel army going in behind them. Now, I never even thought about that they would actually take the rebellion to go with them. But I guess it's because, one reason could be because the harsh climate of the Arctic could possibly interfere with the controls and everything and make it unstable for a lot of lives to pass through. A lot of lives probably would have been lost trying to get through there. Speaking of which, sorry about the voice crack there, but speaking of which, in Marc Laidlaw's canon, something makes the helicopter fail, and I think they crash, and they do get out safely though. In my canon, they actually run out of fuel, and they land safely, and Gordon and Alex go through this ice cavern, and they find this nice little shack here inside the cavern that they camp in for the night. I'll have these little pictures throughout the video here. And so in the morning, Gordon and Alex walk through. I'm basing all this canon on a map of the Borealis that was leaked in the original Half-Life 2. So this is where I'm getting all this base knowledge from. So Gordon and Alex walk outside of get out of the ice cave finally, and they spot the Borealis here. They start approaching when they get attacked by a bunch of fast zombies, or just zombies in general that come off the ship and start charging at them. Now, while this fight, I'll explain that in a second. While this fight is going down, a Combine scout is watching from the roof of one of these buildings. Would they have cloaks and stuff? I assume so, because the snipers kind of have that sort of thing too, and they do have the access to that kind of technology. And I assume this is where scouts would be, because there is this dead Combine on the roof right here, and I would assume that would be after. In episode 2, where Judith has contacted Kleiner and Eli, and she's say that they found the Borealis, and then they get attacked by the Combine. I assume that Judith gets captured, of course, but some Combine do die in the fight. This is why I assume this is the place. And when they showed the Borealis, it looked like it was encased in ice. And so what I assumed was something. We always assumed that it had the power of teleportation. So I assumed that it actually teleported out from where its little encasement was in the ice, several feet or a couple of possibly meters to finally get to the surface. And that's where the scouts were looking around, and they found it. But just as they were about to advance on it, here comes Gordon, Freeman, and Alex getting in the way. But back at Breen's place, Mossman has finally outlived her use of Breen. She won't cough up what the details are. Breen has one of the advisors kill Mossman via the same method that we used to kill Eli. Because the advisors doing this, if you've looked into the lore, this is how they actually gain information. They stick that little, whatever it is, a tongue into your brain, and they actually suck out all of your memories and knowledge and stuff. So then that's how they figure out where the Borealis is. Plus, brings a contact by one of the scouts at the same time. That's where the Borealis is, and so he just sends the full army out there to go capture that thing because of how important this is. But back to Gordon and Alex, they're actually on the Borealis, and they're surrounded by these scouts. Easily, of course, they're able to take out these Combines, but one is killed by somebody else. The third person that's shown up here is Odell, one of the Borealis's crew members. Because there was a release beta where Odell actually helped you while you fended off the Borealis from the Combine, if I do recall. And so he leads them to this. They talk a bit about who they are, who they can trust, like can I trust you and stuff like that. And during this talk with Odell, this is actually where the zombies would come in, because this is my canon how I would explain it. The zombies were the actual Borealis crew. When the Borealis teleported out from Portal 2, which is where we get the impression that the Borealis could teleport because it's not in the docks where the other ships are, and we see the little Borealis lifesaver. I assume that the crew was inside, and Marc Laidlaw says they use this little bootstrap device to teleport the Borealis so the Combine wouldn't find it. And I assume that possibly it just happened that a head crab managed to just randomly teleport in, like they did during all the start of Half-Life, when creatures just randomly teleport in front of you, like the Bordergaunts and the Grunts and stuff like that. A head crab randomly teleports in, latches onto a crew member, and that one crew member spreads the disease and kills all the other crew members and affects them as other head crabs teleport in. And Odell has to live on this ship with these things because the ship's encased in ice and he can't get off. So he has to live with these things until finally he's teleported up, and then he just hides because then he figures, I've been hiding for this long. If I come out now, I'll get demolished. So when the fast zombies go after Gordon and Alex, that's when Odell can come out, and that's why this whole thing. That's why there are a bunch of fast zombies for no reason on the Borealis. So Odell takes them back to the cabin room where they discuss the Borealis' power, how powerful it is, why it's so powerful to use against the Combine, and of course Alex wants to destroy it and all that. So back onto Marc Laidlaw's canon is that Gordon and Freeman find, I think they find a Combine base, and the Borealis is in this kind of projection that the Combine can bring it into existence whenever they want to and use it. And this is where actually Judith Mossman comes in, which is what makes my canon his similar. Judith comes into the scene here, and she has these keys that can actually bring the Borealis into existence. And Breen actually survived as well. Not technically though. He dies after episode 1, but they kept his consciousness and they put it like to this grub thing. I assume it's human size, because if it was actual grub size, like in the antlion tunnels, that would be pretty strange. But after Gordon and Alex are jailed, Breen says, I don't want to live anymore. I don't like my existence. So Gordon and Alex happily dispose of them after Breen let them out. And so Alex and Mossman bicker like they usually do. And eventually, they get into a fight, Alex and Mossman, over what to do with it. Mossman wants to preserve the ship and use it against the Combine, but Alex doesn't want to. So Alex pulls her pistol on Mossman and kills her. which is, again, a similar point in my and Mark's canon, because both Mothman dies in both of our canons, which is really, it's really a strange coincidence. Like, I've only thought of this story like a month ago. I had no idea about any of this. I'm pretty sure nobody else did. But back to where my canon picks up here. The Combine is in full pursuit of the ship. They're sending everything. They're sending all the choppers, all the drop ships, all the gunships, all the APCs, if they have any in the Arctic, and the Striders and everything. Odell sees this, and he activates the ship's power, which is a giant laser. This is kind of where it gets a bit crazy here. A giant laser that Gordon Freeman actually controls himself. One shot takes out a bunch of the helicopters, and another shot to the ground takes out like an entire beeline of APCs instantly. Like, there's no surviving that. They just get took out instantly, which is possibly why Kleiner wanted to use it as a source of power. And so I think, eventually the teleportation cannons would warm up, and the Borealis would teleport away, and they eventually will continue there, which is actually where I left it off. I hadn't thought of anything else yet. The Borealis would teleport into an island, and it would be stuck there, and then I just didn't know what to do next. But back to Marc Laidlaw's canon, is Alex rigged it to set a path, set a path to destroy it for the Combine's main teleportation, because the Combine can teleport between worlds, but not in the same place on the same world. So they have this main teleportation point, which I didn't really know about myself, and so it's set on a crash course for that one. But just as they're about to meet their demise, the G-Man comes in and says, let's see if I can do the voice here. Miss Alex, I need you to come with me. We have things to do. And so Alex, of course, immediately obeys his orders, and G-Man just gives Gordon like a snarky look, kind of sneers and laughs at him a bit. Not really laughs, but more just like a little evil chuckle before Gordon Freeman is left to die. But that's not where it ends. Just before the Borealis is to crash with the main center of teleportation, the Vortigons interfere, and they teleport Freeman away through dimensions. Also forgot. Gordon Freeman sees many dimensions, like the 7-Hour War. He sees the army that they brought to the Arctic fighting it out with the Combine, which is kind of like the same, kind of where his canon and mine connect once again. And so the Vortigons teleport him away, and I assume by how he starts his letter, the house he's been stuck in, multiple dimensions, he finally comes back to the shore. Now, the last paragraph, people debate that it's him speaking to Gabe, which I can see too. But if we're talking about lore-wise here, I actually took screenshots of it in case the post would ever get deleted. And so he says, "And here we are. I spoke of my return to the shore. It has been a circuitous path to lands I once knew. It's surprising to see how much the terrain has changed. Even though the time has passed, that few remember me or what I was saying when I last spoke, or precisely we hope to accomplish. At this point, the resistance will have failed or succeeded. I assume they would have succeeded. Thanks to me. Old friends have been silenced. Mossman, Eli, or fallen by the wayside. I no longer recognize. Okay. I no longer know or recognize most of the members of the research team, which I would assume Gordon is developing amnesia, and or he can't remember the people he worked with at Black Mesa anymore. Although I still believe in the spirit of the rebellion to persist. I expect you know better than I the appropriate course of action, and I leave it to you. Which I think that would mean I leave. Marc Laidlaw is leading the canon, whatever happens, up to us, unless Val does something about it, which is where people say that I leave it to you, leave it to Val, Gaben, and stuff like that. Expect no further correspondence from me regarding these matters. This is my fellow episode. I assume this is from Marc Laidlaw actually quitting from Valve, and he says I'm not going to work anymore. This is my final episode. So people are saying, or upset about this. They're not satisfied with how it ends. Personally, me, I'm satisfied that we have anything Half-Life related, especially from Marc Laidlaw, the person who created the Half-Life story in the first place, to my knowledge. But I am unsatisfied with, and many other people can agree with me on this, We don't know who the G-Man is. We don't know what happened to Alex, Barney, especially Barney. We didn't see him at all in episode 2. We don't know we don't know who the G-Man is. I already said that. But it ends on a cliffhanger. Oh yeah, Freeman does say he was teleported to his shore, which I assume, this is only a long stretch here, I assume this is where Half-Life Lost Coast starts. Because you just coming from out of the black out of nowhere, and you're on a shore. And then you just head up to the hill, kill some Combine, and fight off at a helicopter. And I mean, that game was only to show off how the engine works, but it would be a good explanation, or a good little theory or guess. But we don't need. It leaves off on a cliffhanger, and we don't know how it's going to end. But at least it's something. It's something, and I'm just so happy about that. And so with that out of the way, the video probably says Half-Life 2's second Red Letter Day, which is basically what this is for me. It's my theory versus Marc Laidlaw's out of the way, and now I will move on to the update section. So if you plan to leave there, that's totally fine, but I would like to discuss the update on this channel for now, what will be happening. Okay, if you're still here, after my little rant on my canon versus Marc Laidlaw's, then I'm going to tell you that I'm actually going to implement a monthly system. So January will be indie games, push-up relay games. For example, it might either be Injustice or it might be some indie game like maybe Undertale, Genocide Run or something like that. Just that's just an example. Not going to be exactly that. February will be visual novels, for example like Pyre, and maybe a dating visual novel, something like that. I figured February because February is a month of love, and visual novels usually date and stuff like that. Yeah. March, FPS games, like a military march. Any FPS. FPS might range from funny game moments to commentaries on things and stuff like that. April will be Half-Life mods. Honestly, I would have done something like a Half-Life 3 mod, but I mean, that's kinda iffy now because it won't really be an April Fools anymore. Kinda can't use that joke now. But May will be game or movie review, which I'll have to work really hard on. But the movie reviews, I'll do things like Wonder Woman from the perspective of a new DC fan, or Spider-Man Homecoming from the point of view of a non-Marvel fan, stuff like that. July will be Arena Battle or Gary's Mod moments or something like that. There's a full list, there's a full post on the forum discussion that talks about any recommended RP servers. I want to go to each one of those servers and just see what I can find. And Arena Battle is my most popular video on this channel, and I really want to do more of it. I have a whole plan and everything for it. So August, it will be top number lists, which I haven't really had a big deal. I haven't really made a big deal out of it, but I have a few ideas. September will be game moments. Basically, what's going to come next month is I'm going to take my playthrough, pull the whole thing out, like put it into my editor. All videos could be like 14 hours long, and I'm going to edit that to whatever I feel is worthy to put into it. October will obviously be horror games, indie, AAA, anything related to horror. November will be, I don't know if this will be hard to do, app games. I can use a simulator, I think, to just put up videos of app games and stuff like that. And December will be fan games. Not fan games for me, but say like, I don't know what can I say, like Pokemon fan games. I'm not going to say Mario because I'll get copyrighted for that. Let's see, what else? I don't know what I could do for fan games. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do exactly just yet, but I'll get to that eventually. So, with that being said, thank you everyone so much for watching. If you're still here after the Half-Life thing, I hope you enjoyed my little theory. Not a little theory, but my comparison of my canon. Did you like it? What do you think about it? What do you think about Marc Laidlaw just releasing this out of nowhere? And that's going to be the implementation of my channel that I put in here. So, thank you everyone so much for watching. This is LoiTheMushroom, disconnecting. See ya!